Hello, hello, and welcome back to Earned Happy Endings. I'm Lily Holman. Thank you for joining me for our third blog and first movie-centric blog. So, I'm so excited. This is when we get to the fun stuff. So, I hope that you watched all the way to the end of the last one so you know that we are talking about Luxo Jr. Today. If you haven't, go out, pause the video, look it up. It's about 1 minute and 20 seconds long, and so you have plenty of time to go and watch it so you know what I'm talking about. If not, there will be freeze frames. And let's jump in. Cool. So, one of the most awesome parts about putting together my thesis was that I got to interview people. And one of the most fascinating people I interviewed was a man named Bill Reeves. He is currently the global technical supervisor at Pixar, but he has been there since the very beginning. And he was a technical director for the movie we're talking about today, Luxo Jr. And he was one of the original engineers who worked with John Lasseter, Ed Catmull, and all the people in the beginning to put together the technology behind Pixar, which, as I hope you learned last time, and which I'll really emphasize today, was a huge part of the early Pixar films and has continued to be a huge part of the films up until today. So, when I interviewed Bill Reeves, he referred to the short films that we're going to start talking about today, i.e. the shorts made before Toy Story, which Toy Story, if you're not familiar, like I try not to assume anything, was released in 1995 and was the first feature-length computer-animated film released by Pixar, but released ever. And the films the studio made before Toy Story, because Toy Story is what kind of made the Pixar label a thing, were called portfolio films. So why portfolio films? Portfolio films are the type of films a student compiles over time to prove his or her skills as a filmmaker. So the studio's ultimate goal with these films was to master the tools they needed in order to create the first feature-length computer-animated film, i.e. Toy Story. And these shorts were the stepping stones to that goal. And Luxo is the first one of these shorts. So this portfolio shows a progression in the young group's filmmaking skills. You have to remember they were super young when they were putting this together and working with a completely new medium. So, since they were at the forefront of a new field of technology, not only does this portfolio show a progression of their personal filmmaking skills, they show an early advancement of the entire computer animation field. So, the films are Luxo Jr., what we're talking about today, released in 1986, Red's Dream, which was released in 1987, and Tin Toy, which is released in 1988. So they're the clearest examples of the studio's progress at the time. They also released Knick Knack later on, which we'll talk about later when we talk about comedy. That was also a portfolio film. And you should know that there was one other film made before Luxo, made by the same group of people, called Andre and Wally B. But the reason I'm not talking about Andre and Wally B was because it wasn't actually a Pixar film, even it was really just missing the label, but it was made for Lucas Computer Graphics Division, which was later sold to Steve Jobs to become Pixar. But the reason I'm not talking about it personally is it's a little more cartoony and is a little more basic, and I think Luxo shows a far more interesting beginning, so I'm going to be technical and claim that Andre and Wally B was not officially a Pixar film, partly for my own convenience. But if you want to hear me talk about Andre and Wally B, I will sit down, I will analyze it, I'll find some interesting things to say, just let me know in the comments. Cool. So, these films show off the studio's eventual ability to combine storytelling, A, with technology, B, in a way that works on both an emotional and an aesthetic level. Each film is in itself a different lesson. So what we're going to talk about today, Luxo Jr. has characters with personality and a complete emotional journey. Red's Dream, which we'll talk about next week, is the first film to make use of a really expressive style of filmmaking, so using more of the settings, capturing a mood with the mise-en-scène, which is my favorite film term, and you should all memorize it and use it at party, because it sounds really pretentious and smart. one of those is good, one of those is bad. And literally just means the stuff on screen. And if you want to sound really cool, you can talk about how actors are actually just part of the mise-en-scène. So anyways, sidetrack, back to our focus. So that's Red's Dream. And then Tin Toy, the last film we're going to talk about 2 weeks from now, as long as I'm still doing this. And that's a fusion of those two elements and possesses a complete action-based full plot. Fully realized, takes a concept, plays it out. It's very cool. You'll understand that more when you actually watch it or when you hear me talk about it. So, these films, these imperfect yet influential films show the development of the group of people who founded Pixar, and continue to lead it to this day.